Welcome back. Let's continue. Jan Braai is a celebrated author, Braai enthusiast, known for his passion for grilling and, of course, the culture surrounding this beloved cooking method. And with 6 best-selling books to his name, Jan has established himself as a prominent figure within the culinary scene, particularly when it comes to outdoor cooking and the art of braaiing itself. So his latest book, it's called Atmosfire, is a comprehensive guide that encapsulates everything he currently knows about this cooking tradition. We have Jan this morning virtually to chat a little bit more about his offering. Good morning, Jan. Thanks for your time with the SABC at this hour.
Good morning.
Well, we're in Heritage Month, and this is perhaps befitting, looking at some of the traditions that are associated with South Africa. Perhaps Atmosfire at this point, your latest offering. How did you come to put thoughts to paper, and how does it then differ from some of your previous works?
This is a culmination of the 20 years that I've been traveling Southern Africa and the world, braaiing with thousands and thousands of people, spreading the gospel of the National Braai Day Initiative, encouraging all South Africans and also everybody in the world that wishes that they were South Africa to unite around fires on 24 September every year. Our country has a rich and diverse heritage, but to braai is our common heritage. It's the one thing everybody has in common. There's no South African that's never been to a braai. So I've been rallying South Africans to braai and unite around fires on National Heritage Day every year for the past 20 years. This is the 20th year we'll be celebrating Braai Day, and I thought it's fitting to write this mammoth of a book to share all of the tacit knowledge that I have built up over the past 20 years. So this is really where I currently stand, everything I think you should know about braaiing. It's filled with recipes, techniques, and advice. There's over 200 recipes in this book. Also, wow. All of the different techniques. So it's not just braaiing on a grid, it's traditional potjies, meals cooked in cast iron pots on a fire that I've encountered all over the world. Obviously, curry potjies, that is the original way that you should be making curry, is on a pot, on a fire. Yeah. How to cook directly in the coals, as in without a grid. On a grid, lower heat, so gentle heat, higher, but on a grid, stuff that you need to braise before you braai it, so tougher cuts of meat, obviously vegetables, seafood, desserts. And then in certain topics like steak or peri-peri chicken, where I feel it warrants a chapter on its own, then I dive deeper into those topics. Jan,
it sounds like I need to come for lessons, because also speaking about uniting around a fire for Heritage Day, I mean, we've seen in different parts of the world, they call it barbecue, a grill out, a cookout, a bomber. What's the difference? What do you think adds that South African or uniquely South African gees?
The unique thing about a South African braai is obviously that we use wood. And this is a cornerstone of what I'm trying to achieve with getting millions of South Africans united around fires on Braai Day every year. Is in Africa, this is the traditional way of gathering and celebrating, is making wooden fires. So around the world, many nations moved on to start cooking with gas or with charcoal, but in South Africa we never stepped away from making wooden fires, and that is what makes braaiing in South Africa different. It's more than just a way of preparing food, hence the title of the book, Atmosfire. However, to cook food on the coals or the flames of a wooden fire does add a super unique character to the food in terms of caramelization and smoke that is simply unmatched. There's no other way to cook food in as tasty a way as making a wooden fire.
Yeah, and I mean, 20 years of journeying and meeting different people, breaking bread with different people. You must have some favorite memories or standout memories associated with braaiing that also perhaps feature in the book. But what would you like to share at this point?
Obviously, the single biggest braai that stands out that I've had in my life was 2007, in the 3rd year of the Braai Day Initiative, when I braaied with the late Archbishop Desmond Tutu for the first time, and he gave the initiative his endorsement and blessing and started urging South Africans to braai on Heritage Day every year. So braaiing boerewors rolls with the arch is something that will obviously live with me forever, and all the braais that we had together after that. In terms of memorable places, I've braaied on all four corners of the country. So Alexander Bay, the most western point, Mapungubwe, which is a World Heritage Site, the most northern point in South Africa, Isimangaliso, also a World Heritage Site, the most eastern point in South Africa, and Agulhas, the most southern tip of South Africa and Africa, of course, also a World Heritage Site. I've braaied at the top of Mafadi Peak, the highest point in South Africa. South Africa doesn't have any low points, of course. So once we built like a sort of an incubator to braai a few meters under sea. So to sort of braai at the lowest point. That wasn't fun. There's no future in undersea braaiing. I can advise you against it. And then obviously over the years, just braaiing all around the world, because it's really... I'm not a politician. This is not a political movement, but it is trying to... It is similar to that. You're trying to rally up support for this one cause, and you're trying to encourage millions of people to... It's a call to arms. You are trying to move people in the way how they observe this public holiday, and saying, let's not be passive, let's actively celebrate South Africa's common heritage. And at its heart, it's a nation-building initiative, trying to foster social cohesion.
Yes, and finding that unity and diversity. Jan, thank you for joining us this morning and for sharing your latest offering. I'm going to leave the conversation there, Jan Braai, chatting all things braai and what you, of course, can incorporate in your braai as we approach Heritage Day, which is also dubbed as colloquially National Braai Day. We'll leave it there. It's time for a quick ad break. More news and updates upon our return.